I saw myself standing in my backyard. The problem is, he was looking directly at my bedroom window. I live alone. I know that sounds like the beginning of some internet horror story, but this actually happened to me 2 years ago, and I still keep my curtains closed at night because of it. It started on a Thursday, and nothing special about the day. I got home from work around 7 p.m., microwaved leftover Chinese food, watched half an episode of some crime show, and fell asleep on my couch. Around 1:40 in the morning, I woke up because my neck hurt. The TV was still on. The room was dark except for the blue light from the screen. I remember standing up and stretching. That's when I noticed movement outside. My backyard isn't very large. There's a wooden fence around it and a single motion light attached to the back of the house. At first, I thought it was a deer. Then I thought it was a person. Then I got close enough to the glass to realize it was me. The motion light had turned on. Someone was standing in the middle of my yard. Same height, same build, same haircut, same gray t-shirt I was wearing. He wasn't moving. He was just standing there, looking up at the house, looking directly at me. For a few seconds, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. I remember actually checking the reflection in the glass because I thought maybe I was seeing myself. But the angle was wrong, and then the figure blinked. I didn't. I stumbled backwards so fast I knocked over a lamp. When I looked again, the backyard was empty. Completely empty. The light was still on, nothing else. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been some kind of dream, sleep paralysis, exhaustion, a weird reflection, anything. By lunchtime, I almost believed it. Then I got a notification from my security camera. The camera only covered part of the backyard. I opened the app. The motion alert had been recorded at 1:43 a.m. The video showed someone standing in the center of my yard. The image was grainy, but it was clearly a man. Same height as me, same clothes, looking at my window, and the camera recorded him for 17 seconds. Then the video glitched. 3 frames of static, and he was gone. No walking away, no running, just gone. I stopped telling myself it was a dream. That night I locked every door, every window. I even pushed a chair against the back entrance like some paranoid idiot. Around midnight I checked the backyard. Nothing. 1 a.m. Nothing. 2 a.m. Nothing. I finally relaxed. Then my phone vibrated. Motion detected. Backyard. I opened the camera feed. My stomach dropped. The figure was back. Closer this time, a lot closer. He was standing near the patio, maybe 15 feet from the house. Still staring upward, still perfectly still. I called 911. The dispatcher stayed on the line while officers drove over, and the entire time I watched the live feed. The figure never moved, not once. Then the police arrived. Their flashlights swept across the yard. Nobody was there. The officers searched everywhere, nothing. One of them reviewed the footage. I could tell something bothered him, and he kept replaying it. Finally, he looked at me and asked a strange question. "Do you have a twin brother?" I said no. He didn't respond. He just handed back my phone. The next few days were normal. Almost. I kept noticing small things. The coffee mug sitting somewhere I didn't remember leaving it. Kitchen cabinets open, and my bedroom door slightly ajar. Little things easy to dismiss. And then I found the note. I was getting ready for work when I saw a folded piece of paper on my kitchen counter. There was only one sentence written on it. "You shouldn't have called the police." I stared at it for nearly a minute. I knew I hadn't written it. I also knew nobody else had access to my house. I checked every lock, every window, and nothing. That was the first moment I genuinely considered moving. The following night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my living room with every light on. At 3:12 a.m., another motion alert appeared, and I already knew what I was going to see, but I opened it anyway. The figure was standing against the back door, not knocking, not moving, and just standing there, looking into the house. His face was visible now. My face, every feature matched, except the eyes, and something about the eyes felt wrong. like someone had recreated them from memory. Close enough, not perfect. I watched him for nearly a minute. Then he slowly raised one hand and pointed toward my bedroom. The feed cut out, the screen went black. I don't remember running, I just remember grabbing a flashlight and checking every room. Everything looked normal, until I entered my bedroom. There was another note on my pillow, 3 words, "Check tomorrow morning." That was it. Nothing else. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I found fresh footprints behind the house. The strange part wasn't that they were there. The strange part was where they led. They started in the backyard, and they crossed the grass, reached the fence, and stopped. Not at the gate, not outside the property, and just stopped, as if whoever made them had vanished. That night, I decided to stay at a hotel. I packed a bag and left before sunset. For the first time all week, I felt safe. Around 11 p.m., I got another notification. Motion detected. I opened the camera feed from the hotel room. The figure was standing in the backyard again. But something had changed. He wasn't looking at the house. He was looking directly into the camera. And he was smiling. I had never seen him smile before. I wish I hadn't. The smile was too wide, not exaggerated, not supernatural, just wrong. Like someone trying to imitate how a smile should look. Then he lifted something into view. A photograph. He held it toward the camera. The image quality wasn't great, but I immediately recognized the picture. It was me, sleeping in the hotel room. The photograph had been taken minutes earlier. I froze. The room suddenly felt much smaller. I checked the door, locked. Checked the bathroom, empty. I looked behind the curtains and nothing. When I turned back toward my phone, the figure was gone. The next morning, I drove home. I needed answers, needed proof, needed something. Inside my mailbox was a small envelope. No stamp, no address. Inside was another note. This time it said, "Stop looking for me. You're looking in the wrong place." That sentence haunted me for weeks. Then something happened that finally made everything make sense. Or maybe made it worse. I was reviewing old security footage. Hours and hours of it. Going back months, almost giving up. Then I found him. Not in the backyard, not at night, not standing outside, inside the house. The footage was from 6 months before the first sighting. The camera caught someone walking down the hallway. Just for 2 seconds. The timestamp showed I was at work. Yet there I was, walking through my own house. I replayed it over and over, and then I noticed something. The person on camera wasn't entering a room. He was leaving one. A room that didn't exist anymore. Years ago, I'd sealed off a small storage space behind my basement wall. I hadn't thought about it in forever. That evening, I grabbed a hammer and broke through the drywall. Behind it was a narrow, unfinished room. Dust everywhere, old insulation, rotting wood, and photographs, hundreds of them. Pictures of me sleeping, eating, watching TV, working in the yard. Some were over 10 years old. At the very back of the room sat a single folding chair facing the wall. There was writing on the wall. One sentence, just one. "I've been watching you since before you were me." I left the house that night. I never went back, and the property was sold 6 months later, and sometimes people ask why. I always tell them the same thing. Because on the day I moved out, the neighbor waved at me and said something I'll never forget. He said, "Oh, your brother finally leaving too." I told him I didn't have a brother, and he looked confused. Then he said, "That's strange. I've seen both of you in that backyard for years.